Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Sharon Starling. I'm the Director of Admission at Cornish College of the Arts in Seattle, Washington. And I have some great colleagues with me here today to tell you about preparing and applying to visual art programs, about the degrees offered, the portfolio, and how to prepare. So joining us today, we have Carla Gonzalez from the College for Creative Studies in Detroit. We have Kelly Teeling from the Maryland Institute College of Art in Baltimore. We have Lauren Wilshusen from Massachusetts College of Art and Design in Boston. Jonathan Nutting from the School of Visual Arts in New York, and Jenny Saluti from Syracuse University in Syracuse, New York. Things we're going to cover today, we have types of colleges, we have the degrees offered and the application process. We're going to talk about the portfolio, we're going to talk about how to prepare, and then we're going to leave you with some resources that we find really valuable. So Jenny is going to start next. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Sharon. We're really glad to see you all tonight. And we're going to start off with what type of college might be right for you. As you have started your college search, you probably know you're thinking, big, small, what kind of majors. But when you're looking at visual arts schools, you want to think about a few extra things. So you might want to check out the options, which are an independent art college, an art college, but within a university. And then also there are art majors or sometimes art departments that exist within a liberal arts college or sometimes within a university. So I'm going to try to give you an outline of what all of those different things mean. So we'll start off with the independent art college. This is sort of that standalone art and design school, a very focused curriculum that is offering professional degrees and Bachelor of Fine Art degrees. The curriculum is designed to really focus you as an artist, to develop you to be ready to be a working artist when you graduate. There's going to be a depth of courses, a lot of variety, a lot of different faculty that you would work with that gives you just a real breadth and depth of experience within your coursework. You'll be totally immersed in the art world, both academically and socially, because the people around you will also be artists and designers. And usually this is a smaller campus population and they're all creative. So again, you have like-minded people around you to push you, to inspire you, and really get you excited. And of course, you would build strong connections within the art world. The logos that you see at the bottom sort of give you a sense of some of the kinds of places, and many are represented here today, but just to kind of give you a mindset of who fits in these categories. Okay, Sharon, next. So the next would be an art college, but that lives within a university. And so this is similar in some ways to a standalone art college in that it also would have a focused curriculum with BFA degrees a lot of times, but also would have the ability to take other academic classes at the institution, maybe double major, have a minor, and sort of take a variety of classes both within the arts and outside of the arts. You still have the ability to connect with fellow artists because you're in an art college at a university, but you also have the ability to connect with people that are very different from you, studying engineering or business, or even the liberal arts. Oftentimes, these programs have a larger campus population, but often will have sort of that small, intimate feel within the arts program. So again, you kind of get a bigger population and also access to broader kind of experiences that a university offers. Could be anything from like the resources and grants to Greek life or playing sports or watching sports, those kinds of things. And lastly, you might look at programs that offer an art major in a smaller liberal arts college, or an art major or an art department that's at a bigger university. And the key here to remember is that this is usually a broader liberal arts experience. It's probably not going to be a professional degree. It might be a BA or a Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Arts degree, and sort of the idea of a well-rounded education, that you're doing a little bit of a lot of things. It could have a smaller campus community if it's a liberal arts college, might be a bigger community if it's a university, but usually you won't have as much variety of coursework choice. So there'll be classes, but they might not compare in the number you could choose from at an art college. And you would have access to other kinds of resources like sports and clubs and Greek life, but it might be smaller than at a major university if you're looking at a liberal arts college. So I will pass it now to Lauren.
Thanks, Jenny. So as Jenny mentioned, there are different types of degrees that are offered at different types of institutions. And the two most common ones you'll find are the Bachelor of Fine Arts, the BFA, or the Bachelor of Arts, the BA. And the difference between the two is critical, and it really is the ratio of coursework. So in a Bachelor of Fine Arts program, which is a specialized degree, you'll take 2/3 of your coursework in art making and studio, and 1/3 in the liberal arts and history of art. So classes such as social sciences, math, writing, English, languages, art history, those kinds of classes are going to be offered in any type of degree that you're seeking, any bachelor's degree. In a Bachelor of Arts program or a BA, that ratio is reversed. So it's 2/3 liberal arts and history of art and 1/3 studio art making. So as you're doing research about the types of institutions you're interested in, it's also important to know the type of degree that they offer, because that difference can help you make your decision for choosing your best fit. Next slide, please, Sharon. Thank you. And so the application requirements and processes might be different depending on which type of degree you decide you want to explore. So really for any program, whether it's a BA or a BFA, you're likely going to submit some combination of what you see listed here. So that's an application form, that might be through Common App, that might be through the school's application, an essay, a resume or activity list, recommendation letters, high school transcript to be able to see your academic record, and possibly test scores. Of course, check with each individual school and program to see exactly what their requirements are. That's really the name of the game, is doing your research and determining what the specific requirements are for a specific institution. So again, regardless if you're applying to a BA program, a BFA program, an independent art school, a major university, a small liberal arts college, you're probably going to be submitting some form of these things. What's unique about a BFA program, and I should also mention that all of us on the panel, all of our institutions offer the Bachelor of Fine Arts. We offer that specialized degree. What's unique about this particular application is that you're also going to submit a portfolio. So documentation of visual artwork that you've created, typically with over the past 1 to 2 years, in addition to the other requirements you see listed here. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Carla, and Carla is going to talk more about the portfolio itself.
Great. Thanks so much, Lauren. I think it really is important to think about the portfolio in advance of thinking about applying, or at the same time you're deliberating on the kind of school you're going to be applying to, because the portfolio is a big part of your application process. And so we're here to give you a few tips and tricks on how to work on and develop your portfolio. So as Lauren mentioned, a portfolio is generally work you've created in the last 1 to 2 years. It is also approximately 8 to 20 pieces of work. And again, the key thing here is you do need to do your research. And we want to make sure that you know what each school is requiring in the portfolio so that you can be prepared to submit it when the deadlines start coming. So how does your portfolio represent you? Your portfolio really is a visual representation of your creative voice, your inspirations, your motivation. We want to see your ideas and concepts. I think what we look for is to see how you view and share the world and your ideas about challenging yourself and presenting your own vision. So sometimes what we're looking for is not always exactly how well you create, but what you choose to explore and create, because that can also reveal a lot of information about you. So while we are looking for you to share your process and to show us what your technical and creative abilities are, we do want to see how you think. So we're looking at your portfolio to gauge your potential to succeed in our program. So it's not really about good or bad. It's about us helping, or your portfolio helping us make a good match between your interests and abilities and the characteristics and rigors of the program that you are applying to. So we want you to be successful. So just show us what you do and what you love. We want to make sure that we can get a sense of your passion, what interests you. Can you go to the next slide, please, Sharon? And we know that often students are unsure about what to include in the portfolio. So the types of work that we suggest you include can be individual works in any medium or works in a series. So if you create work in series where you have 5 or 6 or 7 or 20 pieces in a series, you can show us that work. The media or the material you're working in is important, and we want to see what you've explored and what you create with. You can submit reels or time-based documentation of your work. So if you do performance art or you make videos and film, usually any school will accept those kinds of submissions as well. We will take work that's design-driven or concept-driven, things that, works that are simply observations of the world around you. And that means it could be through photography or through drawing or, through film. Really, it's up to you. Again, though, make sure you're doing your research, because some schools do indeed have some very specific requirements for portfolio to submit, while other schools leave it very open-ended. So make sure you're taking some time to look at our websites and make sure you know what is required for that portfolio so that you're prepared and not caught off guard when you're ready to submit. One of the things that we also like to talk about is when you photograph your work. So sometimes students are unclear about whether you present your work in person or if you present it digitally. And I can say the vast majority of schools you would consider applying to will take digital submissions. Many colleges do require that you upload your portfolio at the time you apply, while other schools will take in-person reviews or submissions of portfolios after you've completed other parts of the application. So again, do your research. We do recommend when you're photographing any drawings or works that are not natively digital, make sure the work is in focus or your camera's in focus. Make sure you're using some good soft light and not casting a lot of shadows. Make sure that if you have work in a series, you can create what we call multi-page PDFs so that you can show multiple works as one submission, or pin them up on a wall and photograph them all as one piece, so that we can take a look through all of those pieces together. I put a little image here, which is just a really simple description of how to light work if you're photographing it on the wall. You would have 2 light sources with your camera aimed right down the middle. And again, just trying to give you some tips to make sure that you're presenting your work in its best light. Next slide, please. So this slide really is trying to just show you that there are so many different kinds of work that students make, and that we really are excited to see all that work. Whatever it is, whatever drives you and the passion that you bring to making. So whether that's jewelry or drawings or paintings, or you do digital design work, one of the great things to do if you design logos is apply that logo to a vehicle or a package or something to show us how it would work. If you do a lot of sketchbook thinking and you want to show us your process of moving through an idea to a final, you could also consider using a photograph of sketchbook pages that will help show how you moved through that idea. Again, showing us how you think. You can show us sketches and finals. You can show us reels that are clips of films or videos or animations that you've made put together, including music or not including music. It really is up to you. I think a couple of things to think about when you are submitting video or time-based work is try to keep it curated and keep it to a length, I would say no more than 5 minutes, because there are a lot of portfolio pieces that our staff are reviewing, and we want to make sure we get to see them all. And so be careful when you're doing that so that they are purposeful and communicate your best, strongest work. Next slide. Digital submissions, it's also important about file size to keep them not too big. So you're going to look at those requirements for your portfolio. They often will indicate size limitations so that you can prepare and keep your file sizes at a size that's going to be easily read. Remember, we're reviewing these digitally. We're not printing these out. So you can keep your resolutions fairly low as long as the image is not corrupted or looks, any kind of loose resolution. So you can also share URLs or Google Drive links, or YouTube links, Vimeo links, personal websites. It's important though, if you use Google Drive links or YouTube links, that they are set for public view and that anyone with the link can review or see the documents, because we often have committees of people who will also need to see the work. So if you just share it with the one individual you might be emailing, for example, or if you put it in your application as a link, you want to make sure anybody who opens that link will be able to review the work. Next slide. The other thing is, I think, I think we're all artists here on this panel, or at least have created work and worked with students for a long time. And I think what we often find is that art students really fixate on perfection. And we're not saying don't do your best work. We certainly want to see your best work. But I think that there's often a stress on creating really finished, final, polished work when even your sketchbook work or a work like the example here in this slide, it's not, fully fleshed out, but we can still see your technical ability. It contains emotion. It's conveying a concept and an idea. And so even though it may not be super high-end polished, finished, it still communicates something about you as an artist to us. So we encourage you to ask for feedback on your work before you submit your portfolio so that we can give you some insights or suggestions on what to include and maybe what not to include. So don't feel like you don't have an opportunity to get feedback before you apply. We're happy to give you feedback at any time. Next slide. So get motivated, make some work. Dedicate time to making work. As you know, art doesn't come easy and you don't finish a project in 5 minutes. So spend the time and dedicate the time to making the work you need for your portfolio. And John is going to talk to us about various ways that you can do that.
Great, thanks, Carla. Well, I'd like to speak to you briefly today about ideas and some strategies that can help you prepare to apply to a visual arts program. So these are steps that you can take now and in the coming months to narrow your college list and develop a stronger portfolio for your application. Now, beyond just making new work, which is absolutely important, keep making new work. As Carla said, the work you make now in your later years of high school is going to be your strongest. So, but more than just making, a vital piece of the puzzle is to do your research. Now, that research can be done in tandem, both in your personal growth and in your college search. So I would really highly recommend that you spend some time looking at the artists that you follow in social that are coming up on your feed, maybe that you're seeing in galleries, and see where they went to art school, see where they learned their practice. I think that's an important thing. If you really aspire to make work similar to an artist, see where they went to study, how they made that. Also, some of those artists might be teaching at a school. That would be a good school to put on your list, because that indicates that they are making the kind of work at that school that you want to kind of investigate, right? Also, investigating those artists often leads to learning a new process. The artist that's on this slide here is an artist called Yuko Shimizu, who is fantastic. I highly recommend you spend some time checking out her work, but also spending some time on her Instagram, not just because she's a faculty member at our college and an alumnus of the school, but also that she talks about her process and she gives tips on how to improve your inking and how to bring things from concept to completion. So learning how an artist's process that you look up to kind of works can give you a lot of insight into how you improve your own. Also, online tutorials on things like YouTube and really across the internet can help you develop those skills. So keep building those skills, keep making work, go back to your sketchbook. If you have some old projects you like, I recommend that you go back to those projects and try them again. If we go to the next slide, please. So what are some actionable steps that you can take to better prepare to apply to an art school? Now, the first thing is cluing in your support network. And this is an important one. Speak with your visual arts teacher, speak with the guidance office at your school. Let them know that you plan to apply to an art college or an art program. First of all, that's really important so that your transcripts get to the appropriate places when you do apply. But also, those visual arts instructors may have insight into some programs that you might not have thought of that may be a good fit for you, or can give you recommendations for some projects that you can work on this spring, this summer, into early next year as you prepare a portfolio to apply. And the second is to look beyond your school and to the environment around you, your community. Look to the local art museums or the art councils in your area. Many offer free or discounted online, and in some cases, in-person classes. These are courses that you can spend time developing your work and also getting another insight on how you can improve your practice. Now, private art studios and other organizations are something that I'd encourage you to investigate. Usually there's some tuition cost incorporated into some of these private studios, but they can be a great way to really elevate the work that you're making and make some major specific work if you wanted to progress into something like design or possibly some of the photographic or filmmaking processes, maybe even animation. So speak to your art instructors and to those college counselors and look at your greater community. That's how you really prepare to improve your skills. Now, yet another way to make the most of your summer is to enroll in a pre-college program. These are generally intensive programs that happen during specifically in our case, for this conversation, the summer, and are offered by colleges for high school students. Many of your colleges are going to have fall and spring programs as well, but I'm highlighting summer programs in particular because they're generally a little bit more intensive. Sometimes they're more than one class at the same time. And they can be a way for you to build your portfolio up, but also get to know the schools that you're thinking about applying to. So, search for local colleges in your area to see if community colleges or other institutions might offer an art course that you're interested in, or a summer program. But also look at your college list. This is a real chance to be able to meet faculty members, in some cases meet students, and investigate the major that you might be interested in at a specific school, and really test drive that program. Most students take a summer pre-college between their sophomore and junior year or between their junior and senior year. And that can really help them as they try to whittle down that college list and try to decide which programs and which schools might be the right fit for them. If you're not sure what your college list looks like yet, that's no problem. I'd recommend that you go to nationalportfolioday.org and spend some time investigating. You can search by interest, you can search by region, and try to find some other art colleges or art programs at colleges that could be of interest to you. These summer pre-college programs are really valuable, again, not just because you're making new work, not just because you're meeting these teachers and getting to know programs, but you're also getting to meet other student artists like yourself. I can't tell you the number of students that have made really, really long-lasting friendships from summer programs because they finally find other artists out there like themselves. So look into it if you can. One more slide, Sharon. We'll get there. There we go. And what I have for you is just a few examples of some summer pre-college programs. So us here at SVA, MICA, Mass Arts, Syracuse, Cornish, College for Creative Studies. As you can see here, these institutions represent most of the United States. We really do cover a lot of geographic territory here. So please do look into the different programs that are offered at these schools. As you can see, they range from 1-week programs to 4-week programs. Most are online. SVA is actually going to have in-person study this summer. We're going to be offering that for some students if interested, obviously being very careful. And offering some residence halls to students as well. Yeah, this is a really great jumping off point to look at some institutions that might offer summer programs that could be a good fit for you. Well, thanks for your time. I'm going to pass it off to Kelly. She's going to tell you a little bit more about the National Portfolio Day Association and ACAD. Kelly?
Thanks, John. Hi, everyone. So John mentioned an incredible organization called the National Portfolio Day Association, and they host a series of events, generally in person, though this year we've switched to a fully virtual experience, where you can log in and meet representatives for a one-on-one conversation from schools all over the United States and Canada, and some international as well. And get one-on-one feedback from admission counselors and college representatives. We have one coming up on Friday of this week, so you can log on to Portfolio Day, nationalportfolioday.live, and tune in and register and get some feedback right away on your portfolio as you may be thinking of applying to art school in the near future. Next slide. And so John also mentioned ACAD, the Association of Independent Colleges of Art and Design. And this is an organization, it's a nonprofit consortium of about 36 leading art schools in the US and Canada. It's also a resource for you to do some research on different art and design college offerings, and a good way to compare different schools. You can look up based on location, specific degrees, programs, and all of that good stuff. They also have a online portfolio review opportunity hosted on their website through SlideRoom. So you can check that opportunity out as well at acad.org. Next slide. And the last resource that I'll talk to you all about is SNAP, the Strategic National Arts Alumni Project, which is a survey of over 200,000 arts alumni. And they have some really, really interesting findings. So for all of you art students out there, parents, educators who are worried about success and finding jobs after graduation, SNAP has some really compelling information and data, including 72% of the alumni responding to the survey had found jobs within their area after 4 months of graduation. 82% had jobs related to their major. A whopping 16% started their own company, which I think is a really cool point to how artists are also entrepreneurial. Something really cool that I know artists and designers really value is 90% reported critical thinking and creative problem solving used in their everyday practice and work. I think it's also really important to call out, because I know we're running out of time, that 80% love their work. And I think that is a true testament to following your passion. And if art and design is calling you, to follow that.
Thank you, Kelly. And then lastly, I just put all our contact information up here. Do use this as a resource. We are not doing this just to recruit you for our own schools, but to help you find a style of education that might really work well for you. And we're all in this to help you find the best fit. Thank you so much for your time. I know this will be recorded and left on the NACAC site. Thank you.